Hello world, today I'm bringing you the full review of the Acer Nitro 5. Now this laptop I saw at my local Best Buy for under $1,000 and it caught my eye because it comes in at under $1,000 and it looks strikingly similar to the Acer Predator Helios 300. So I picked it up and this is the Intel Core i5 variant. So I wanted to show what the performance difference would be between i7 and i5 gaming laptops when a lot of these have very similar specifications. So quick rundown of the specs. This variant that I picked up here is rocking an Intel Core i5 9300H as well as 8GB of DDR4 RAM and an NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1650. The screen is coming in at 17.3 inches with a 1920 by 1080 resolution IPS panel with a 60 Hz refresh rate, which is fine. A GTX 1650 couldn't really power a 144 Hz screen anyways. For storage, the Nitro 5 that I picked up includes a 512GB NVMe SSD storage drive, and it includes a wireless AC Wi-Fi adapter, which is great. So let's talk about the build quality. The Acer Nitro 5 is primarily a plastic build. It's definitely not going to scream premium when you look at other laptops that are at that $1,000 or above price point, but it is effective and gets the job done. It was durable enough to go in and out of my bag throughout the week. However, this variant I picked up is a 17.3-inch screen, so I definitely noticed. I had trouble closing the backpack with this one. So if you pick up this variant that I will link to in the description down below, you're definitely going to also need to consider looking for a bag that can handle a 17.3-inch gaming laptop. Also, with having a 17.3-inch gaming laptop, it was significantly heavier than other 15-inch gaming laptops that I've had before. But having a larger screen definitely was appreciated when consuming media and playing games. Now, let's talk about the keyboard. The keyboard on the Acer Nitro 5 is actually pretty easy to use. It feels good, it's responsive. I actually preferred this keyboard a little bit more than I did the Helios 300 keyboard. That's right, this laptop, it's a cheaper budget option, but the keyboard felt a little bit better to me. It could all be personal preference. Maybe the keyboard on the Helios 300 is actually better grade and quality, and I'm just ignorant, but I enjoyed using this keyboard more. The trackpad. It has a Windows Precision trackpad, and it pretty much has the same feeling as the Helios 300. So you're not taking a sacrifice or a step down when it comes to precision tracking. Using this trackpad was definitely easy to use. When you don't have a mouse on you, you're going to be fine. And the speaker quality. The speakers, that's another thing. The Nitro 5. It's meant to be the budget option for those who can't afford the more expensive Helios 300, which MSRP is at about $1,200. But the speakers on this were so much better than my Helios 300 speakers. Acer, what the heck? On the Helios 300, you should have given us better speakers to at least match the Nitro 5 series. I'm legitimately bothered that Acer gave me lesser quality speakers on a more expensive laptop that I picked up. Anyways, if you pick up this laptop, you'll be happy with the speakers. They sound great, there's good bass, there's good volume. I did notice the same symptoms of the Helios 300 on this laptop, however, at max volume, distortion kicks in and they don't sound that great. So I had the speaker volume at about 80 to 85% most of the time when I was in game. And battery life. The Nitro 5 gave me on average about 3.5 to 4 hours of battery life. And that's pretty average. But I really can't complain when we're at this price point. A gaming laptop in 2019 giving you anything close to 4 hours of battery life, it's pretty much the standard right now. So just that's what to expect. Taking this laptop to school or work, and if you're using this as an all-day laptop, you'll need to bring the charger with you. So here's a look at the I/O, and starting from the left side, we have a Kensington lock, gigabit Ethernet LAN, and then an HDMI port, a USB-C, and then two USB 3.0 ports. And here along the other side, we have a 3.5mm headphone jack, a USB 2.0 port, and then there's our DC barrel power connector. Okay, taking a look inside of the laptop. For the Nitro 5, it looks like we have the CPU and GPU cooling fans side by side, a little bit less than ideal, and that did show itself. We saw this manifest in some of our test results that we'll see up in the slides with our stress testing. Now I do see there are two NVMe slots here. We can see this one is occupied with the stock included NVMe SSD from the manufacturer, and here's an empty one. You can add one more for expansion in the future. There is a 2.5-inch drive bay that's unoccupied. Now it is going to be needing one of those type of SATA connectors, those ribbon cables that I've seen for these models, because it uses a very small connector. I can see it right here. This is the one that we're going to be using to hook up our 2.5-inch drive. And as for our battery, it is a 58.75 watt-hour battery. And here are our memory slots. There are two which are user accessible, and it's a single 8 GB DIMM from the manufacturer. So you might be able to do some hunting, find a matching stick of this type of RAM online somewhere to add in one more for 16 GB of dual channel memory. Otherwise, if you're just going to go out and pick up, Patriot or Corsair, some manufacturer like that, then you'll have to just pick up 16 gigs and then take this one out and sell it or do whatever makes sense to you. And there are two dual bottom firing speakers here. We can see them facing downward. Not the ideal placement, but it is what we get. This is what manufacturers of the past few years have been doing. So this is what we get. So overall, it looks like this laptop is fairly expandable. I'm happy to see manufacturers like MSI and Acer giving us expansion options, the ability to have easy access to memory, as well as 2 NVMe SSD drives. I'm just loving that. And then a whole entire extra 2.5-inch drive. So pretty expandable. And I've said it before and I'll say it again, this is what you want to look for in a laptop. Laptops which you can upgrade and add to on your own. That makes a laptop a good investment, a good long-term investment that a couple years down the road, when you're doing all of your work and filling up the hard drive bays, you can keep adding to it as you go, so you won't need to go out and buy a new one. And so here's a picture of the backlight bleed on the Nitro 5, and I gotta say, this kind of blew me away, how crazy, and just like almost half the screen on the bottom right-hand side is taken up by this backlight bleed symptom. And I will at least say that while playing games normally and not looking for it, it didn't really affect me or really take away and ruin the experience. But during those black scenes where there's a lot of blacks and darks or in between cutscenes, definitely stood out a little bit. So here's some pics that I took on a new toy that I got, a thermal imaging camera. And what we can see here is that the primary surface areas which are heating up during stress tests and under full load are around the middle left side of the keyboard, which is slightly to the right of the WASD keys where your hands are resting, luckily, and then above the keyboard, above on the top gap between the screen and the keyboard. So it didn't really get too hot around areas where my hands were resting, which was good. It shows that they put some thought into this. And even though this laptop kind of gets a little bit toasty, in my opinion, it's not going to really give the user a terrible user experience. And then here's a shot that I took on the back of the laptop, just kind of for fun. You can see just basically cooking. I'm pretty sure you could cook some eggs back here, something like that. Maybe I'll give that a shot. If there's enough demand for it, you guys can leave me some comments down below what you might want to see me try to cook back here. So here's a quick sound test of the Nitro 5, and it's nothing too crazy on the loud side that's going to be really drawing attention to you in a room or bothering someone that's trying to sleep, but it is a little bit on the louder side, over 50 decibels. I've generally seen most of the laptops that I've preferred to be under 50, but this is what it is for this price point. Definitely not going to ruin the experience, but just here, take a listen. And then here is a sound test activating the turbo mode, and here we see the sound levels increasing to well over what they were previously, to about 60 decibels. This is pretty loud at this point. This is going to be bothering people next to you. You might get a look trying to use this laptop in turbo mode. Now, let's get into the benchmarks. So here's the benchmark numbers for the Acer Nitro 5. Now just keep in mind, the variant I picked up, it's the Intel Core i5 variant, the 9300H from Intel. So what I'm going to be keeping in mind to compare when looking over these numbers is performance between this laptop, the Acer Nitro 5, and other laptops I've reviewed across this channel, like the Asus G531 GT or the Lenovo L340. Those both had the Intel Core i7 with the 9750H from Intel. So these numbers, first up right here, we're seeing single core performance at 4,800. And I'm looking at my numbers for the Lenovo L340, for example, and that scored at about 4,900. So single core performance between the Intel Core i5 and the Intel Core i7 in the 9th generation Intel CPU lineup is about the same. So what I'm hoping that means is that if you have to go with a laptop for budget reasons with an Intel Core i5, you'll still have a great gaming experience. Of course, with the multi-core, I'm seeing a bit of a hit compared with the Intel Core i7, but the Intel Core i5 has lesser cores, so that's expected. And here, Cinebench R20, and again, I'm seeing a pretty big difference when it comes to the overall performance here. The Lenovo L340 was able to hit about 2,400. That was with an undervolt, however, so comparing the out-of-the-box performance, this laptop is actually only about 100 points below the Intel Core i7. So, pretty strong performance so far from the Intel Core i5. So, PassMark is a really good comprehensive benchmark I love to run on every laptop that comes through my channel. It gives us a really good overall view of the components that makes up our system and how fast they are. So, with the CPU performance, it's actually pretty close with out-of-the-box performance from the Lenovo L340. They're only about 700 points apart. There is a bigger gap between laptops that I reviewed, like the Acer Predator Helios 300, but then looking at the graphics performance, okay, I am just very happy with this. 2D graphics mark score of 894 from the Nitro 5, and on my Lenovo L340, it had an 893. So what that's showing is graphics performance is about the same between an Intel Core i5 laptop and an Intel Core i7 laptop with the same GPU. And then for the 3D graphics mark, that's coming in at 8,083. That's actually beating my Lenovo L340 out of the box a little bit by some slim margins. So, great gaming performance from the Nitro 5 so far. If you pick this laptop up, it looks like even though you're getting a lesser processor, the Intel Core i5, you are not missing out on gaming performance whatsoever. So for gamers out there, if that's your only use case, it's looking great so far for you. And I'm not sure if it's just luck of the draw or what. I've heard that some manufacturers can use different suppliers, and depending on which batch you buy a laptop, it might have different components slightly. But this disk performance here, disk mark of 16,000, I am just blown away by that, okay? That's about double the speed that I got from my Acer Predator Helios 300. So, I mean, great for Nitro 5 owners and buyers out there. I mean, this is a lightning fast NVMe SSD that Acer decided to put in the Nitro 5. Even faster than their Helios 300, which is a more expensive laptop. Wow. And Adobe Premiere. This is a 4K video clip that I had. I exported it. It's 2 minutes long. I exported it at H.265 encoding, and that's with no compression at full 4K resolution, and it came out at about 2 minutes and 43 seconds. This is good performance. My Helios 300 actually performed a bit faster at about 1 minute and 20, but I've seen some laptops take upwards of 6 minutes or even 7 minutes with the same GPU. So for video editors out there, it's looking pretty good so far. And finally, what we all came for, the gaming benchmarks. Here, I'm seeing great performance from the Nitro 5, even with the Intel Core i5 variant. So for most of these games, we're going to be able to hit 60 FPS after playing with some settings and tuning. So with Shadow of the Tomb Raider, I was getting about 49 FPS. This is great. Neck and neck with my other laptops like the G531 GT from Asus and Lenovo L340. 64 FPS on Epic for Fortnite. So if you hook up this laptop to an external display and lower the settings, you could definitely push higher frame rates closer towards 100. Battlefield 5, I did this I know this is a AAA title, a little bit of a stretch running Battlefield 5 on a GTX 1650, but I just wanted to show, playing with some settings, I was able to get the game to run at about 60 FPS. So you can play AAA titles with these specs, which is just excellent. Having performance available like this to buyers in the lower price point is just so great in 2019. And then CSGO, I was seeing about 100 FPS, and then BioShock Infinite at 114. Just absolutely great numbers. And here's some stress tests that I ran on the Nitro 5. Now, when it comes to thermals, it looks like this is one department the Helios 300 does beat the Nitro 5 at. The Helios 300 definitely has better thermals. I saw under full stress testing loads, and of course that is also, as some of you commented, I am stress testing the CPU and the GPU while running these. And what I saw was this laptop is not only power limit throttling, but in some cases, as with Ada64, it is even thermal throttling as well. But I want to take a note here to point out, this is with stock voltage. Acer didn't undervolt the Nitro 5. So if you take a look in the video description down below, I'll put a link to my tutorial showing you how to undervolt. You'll definitely want to do this to help out thermals and performance on the Nitro 5. So what do those benchmarks say? We're actually not taking that much of a performance hit. stepping down to an i5 model when it comes to gaming. This performed, on average, a little bit better than the Lenovo L340 out of the box, for example, and about on par with the Asus G531 GT I reviewed when it comes to frame rates in games. However, for productivity, more advanced workloads with AutoCAD or things like that with virtualization, you'll definitely want to look at an i7 variant with the 9750H. However, for just gaming, the Intel Core i5 9300H pretty much performed the same because single core performance was just excellent. Now, it wasn't all a rose garden when looking at the thermals of this laptop compared with the Helios 300. One advantage the Helios 300 does have is better thermals. This laptop not only thermal throttled under stress tests, but it also power limit throttled. Now, what I noticed, booting up Intel XTU, Acer didn't undervolt this laptop out of the box. Acer, if you're undervolting the Helios 300, why aren't you doing that to all of your gaming laptops? So you're only going to take a few extra steps in tuning for the Helios 300? I guess when it comes down to costs, that makes sense. Any time spent with extra tuning comes as a cost. And considering selling these laptops at lower prices, you want to save those costs as much as you can. But it just gives the user such a better experience. It would be so great if they just did it across all of their laptop lines. Then, no matter which laptop a consumer picked up, they would probably be having a better experience on the Acer laptop than they would with other manufacturers. This would allow Acer to beat other manufacturers across any price point. However, this laptop is not undervolted, so it's got a few thermal issues that I'm sure undervolting would help. And in the video description down below, I'll place a link to my other video I made on how to undervolt. If you pick up this laptop, you will get big performance boosts if you undervolt. So definitely, if you're a Nitro 5 owner or a prospective Nitro 5 owner, take a look in my video description down below. You're gonna want to undervolt this laptop because Acer did not. Still, overall, the Nitro 5 came out to a pretty good value. When looking at the numbers, even out of the box, without undervolting, it was still performing pretty much neck and neck with i7 models that I reviewed on this channel with similar specs, such as the GTX 1650. So, if you're looking to just spend as little money as possible, all you're doing is gaming, the Nitro 5 is a really great option. It looks clean, it's effective, it's minimal, the design is great. In some ways, the Nitro 5 has a few advantages compared with the Helios 300. So, should you buy it? This variant here, I was able to pick up at about $850 on sale. With the Acer Nitro 5, I would definitely recommend only picking it up on sale. If your budget is around $850 to $950, I would recommend you to hold off. The Acer Predator Helios 300 has gone on sale twice in the last 2 months for $999 on Amazon. If you have the budget of around $900 or a little bit more, just hold your horses, wait for another sale on the Helios 300. If you're looking to buy right now, you can't wait. And if you can find a sale on the Nitro 5, you're not gonna regret it. The Acer Nitro 5 performs great in games, and it has a good looking package as well. So thanks for watching. Please like this video if it helped you out. Subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more. Take a look in the video description down below for links to buy this laptop, as well as my social media handles and my Discord server. I'm online every day to answer a few questions, and there's many other laptop owners on there as well who can give you their insights. So thanks again for watching. Porter Dev out.